the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, one of the most magnificent buildings of antiquity. The Bible says it was the holiest place on earth for Jews, the home of the Ark of the Covenant.
In a stunning archaeological discovery, the tomb of King Solomon has been unsealed after years of obscurity. As researchers uncovered the mysteries of this long-lost tomb, they exposed a hidden history that defies explanation. But what remarkable secrets did King Solomon's tomb contain?
The first temple was intended to be a sight to behold. Indeed, as all temples were in the ancient world, they were meant to be both holy places, but because of that, awe-inspiring.
We are talking about one of the most important antiquities ever found.
And how will this discovery change our understanding of the ancient world? Join us to find out. The vanished tomb of Solomon. Solomon's name has shone brightly for many years, standing out in a way that is truly unique. The holy texts portray him as a king bestowed with unparalleled wisdom, a leader whose riches seemed endless, and an architect who constructed a temple so grand that its walls sparkled with gold. His rule during the 10th century BC is celebrated as the Golden Era of Israel, a period characterized by both wealth and tranquility. Despite the opulence that characterized his existence, historical records abruptly end with his passing. The location of Solomon's burial has been a mystery that has perplexed scholars, adventurers, and followers for ages. While religious scriptures allude to a burial site, there are no definitive instructions or visible markers to guide the inquisitive. No memorial or engraved chamber bears his name, as if the earth has hidden the secret of his resting place deep within its silent embrace. Instead of resolving the issue, the silence only fueled ongoing rumors and gossip. In the era of the Crusades, knights excavated beneath Jerusalem with the conviction that a trove of riches was concealed under the Temple Mount. They were adamant that Solomon's wealth continued to radiate deep underground. However, the narratives that evolved from these endeavors were far from cheerful. As they were passed down, they took on a more ominous tone. Tales emerged of tunnels caving in on trespassers, curses etched into rock, and a tomb so dazzling with gold that it blinded those who gazed upon it with avarice. Some people believed that Solomon's tomb was not just a burial site, but rather a repository of hidden knowledge. They imagined it as a sanctuary containing not only riches, but also mysteries of the universe, including mathematical concepts, celestial movements, and supernatural phenomena. Speculations of sacred geometry, celestial observations, and even dark magic were said to be interred with the legendary king. Despite the allure of these legends, no evidence of such treasures has ever been unearthed. Over the passing of time, the mystery became more complex. During the 1800s, courageous adventurers carefully searched the rugged terrain of the city of David. Armed with fragments of ancient texts, delicate maps, and optimistic spirits, they set out on their quest. However, they came back with nothing to show for their efforts. Some admitted that their expedition was just an unrealistic fantasy, a futile pursuit of illusions. Academic experts even started to assert that the location of King Solomon's burial site had morphed into a mere legend. However, the murmurs continued to linger. Visitors came to the Western Wall and bowed their heads in reverence. They were convinced that buried beneath the ground was the revered king of Israel. Despite the uncertainties and discussions happening above ground, the belief that Solomon was still nearby in his sacred city persisted. In the meantime, remnants of his civilization were revealed through archaeological findings. Evidence of copper mines in Timnah, trade routes connecting Africa, India, and Arabia, and artifacts resembling the biblical descriptions of his fleets were all brought to the surface. With each new revelation, the mystery surrounding his burial site became more pronounced. If his empire truly existed, along with his fleets, mines, and riches, then it stands to reason that his tomb would also be genuine. The legend persisted, defying doubt. Where there was a disbeliever, there emerged a supporter. In the face of failed attempts, more tales circulated. The mystery enveloped Solomon's reputation like a dark cloud, a void so commanding it could not be ignored. And that mystery is about to be revealed to the world. Stay with us. When Solomon's secret finally spoke. Afterwards, a storm arrived. A sudden heavy rain broke the silence of a calm hillside close to Jerusalem, and with it, a secret that had been dormant for 3 millennia began to stir. What seemed to be just another mark left by the rain was on the verge of uncovering something much more significant. Beneath the surface of the rocks lay a passageway, not formed by natural forces, but intricately crafted by human hands many years ago. The hillside in Silwan, located to the southeast of Jerusalem, had always gone unnoticed. It was a gradual incline made up of aged limestone, scattered with occasional dry shrubs and rocks. To the casual observer, it appeared unremarkable and uninteresting. However, when a storm struck and tore into its side, heavy rains caused the soil to wash away, revealing a deep, shadowy depression. Initially, this cavity appeared to be the result of normal erosion, just another mark left by water. Nevertheless, scientific analysis revealed a unique narrative. Ground-penetrating radar was used to scan the slope, revealing distinct shapes and straight lines hidden deep in the rock. These were not natural formations like caves or crevices, but deliberate human construction with a clear purpose. The usual quietness surrounding Solomon's grave was about to be disrupted. The initial journey down below was quite unsettling for all involved. While Jerusalem is well known for its cisterns and aqueducts, what was uncovered by the team was different. These underground passageways were not designed for easy navigation. They wound around in confusing patterns, leading back to the starting point. Some paths abruptly ended in solid barriers, while others twisted into nonsensical shapes with no destination. This was a labyrinth, but not a fun one. Its purpose seemed to be to disorient, challenge, and possibly safeguard. The cracks found in the ceilings and floors were particularly disturbing. They appeared to be deliberately placed, and any slight movement seemed to threaten a collapse. Rather than indicating weakness, these cracks seemed to serve as a defensive measure. The creators of this structure, which dates back thousands of years, clearly anticipated the possibility of intruders and took measures to protect against them. Next, they discovered some markings after removing layers of mud near the initial intersection. The faint Hebrew characters on the walls were revealed with thorough cleaning. The 7 lines along with 7 symbols continuously repeated, appearing like random scratches to the untrained observer. However, Dr. Layla Morgan, who headed the expedition, understood the significance of the numbers. The 7 years it took to construct the first temple and the association of the number 7 with Solomon were no coincidences. As they delved further into the depths, the intricacy of the layout intensified. Faux alcoves were expertly crafted to resemble actual doors. Passageways led to nowhere. Halls were meticulously shaped to entice and challenge adventurers. The labyrinthine tunnels posed a mysterious view, with each twist offering both caution and beckoning. A researcher quietly remarked that it seemed as though the site was actively opposing them, as if the very rock was in defiance. The spread of information was rapid, leading to a bustling hillside. Measures were taken to increase safety, with the installation of fences and the presence of guards. Concerns arose about potential intruders, radical individuals, and foreign entities seeking to uncover concealed secrets. However, the actual peril lay within the stone structure itself, which exuded a menacing presence. Every creak of the moving rock served as a warning that the team was unwelcome, intruding upon a timeless stronghold. After a long journey through the winding corridors, they finally reached the end. Instead of finding rubble or decay, they were confronted with a solid piece of stone seamlessly embedded into the walls. The perfect fit made it almost invisible. The lack of cracks or seams suggested strength and durability. It was more than just a block of stone. It seemed to convey a message, a quiet reminder that it was not meant to be disturbed. The team spent weeks analyzing the mysterious slab, trying to unlock its secrets. The stone was securely sealed and appeared to be impervious to any attempts to uncover its mysteries. It seemed as though the creators had foreseen future generations attempting to unravel its mysteries. Dr. Morgan approached the slab cautiously, treating it as if it were a dangerous, explosive device. Every action taken was calculated and precise. Advanced technology was used to meticulously scan every detail of the slab. The team proceeded with caution, fully aware that one misstep could have catastrophic consequences. Each evening, Dr. Morgan would spend hours studying pieces of Hebrew manuscripts found in the vicinity. The ancient scripts mentioned gates accessible only to those who possessed wisdom, stones positioned according to the stars, and concealed secrets within mathematical calculations. While many saw these words as poetic, she perceived them as guidelines. Rather than interpreting them as lyrical verses, she saw them as opportunities for unlocking hidden knowledge. The further she delved into her research, the more the slab seemed to resemble a complex mystery, a boundary designed not only to obstruct, but to assess. It was almost as if King Solomon had devised a lasting mystery, one that would withstand the test of time, patiently anticipating the moment when someone would have the courage to confront it. The day Solomon's tomb finally opened. Suddenly, a low groan echoed in the tunnel, causing the ground to shake and dust to fall from the ceiling. The stone slab seemed to jolt, as if it had woken up after a prolonged slumber. The team feared the tunnel was collapsing, but the walls remained intact. Instead of debris, a gust of musty, cold air swept through the crack. This was no ordinary draft. It was the ancient breath that had been sealed away since the time of Solomon. The tunnel was now filled with the essence of time, undisturbed for centuries. Gradually, the slab started to move. Instead of dropping, it shifted unwillingly, almost like a protector unwilling to make way. As the opening grew larger, the initial beams of light from a flashlight broke through the darkness. The brightness penetrated the room on the other side. That's when the unbelievable scene unfolded. Golden vessels were neatly arranged along the walls, softly shimmering. Decorations in the form of motionless lions were present. Intricate designs of palm trees were visible. An old but majestic menorah remained standing tall, its branches untouched by years of quietness. The scent in the air was unusual. Ancient jars had broken and revealed their hidden scents: saffron, frankincense, and a faint reminder of perfumes that were once used in sacred locations. In a corner, the worn-out silk fabrics still held a slight shine. Their hues may have faded, but their graceful creases hinted at a history of commerce between distant lands. The resting place of Solomon had long been regarded as a mere legend by many. However, when the team entered, the ancient dust was disturbed and the myth transformed into truth. While the treasures sparkled, it wasn't the riches that captivated the archaeologists. Instead, their focus shifted towards the walls. After the settling dust, barely visible engravings became evident. Patterns carved into the limestone came to light. Swirling designs marked with precise mathematical calculations, perfectly balanced triangles and symmetrical ratios, interwoven. Initially appearing as mere embellishments, symbols of devotion created by faithful artisans, upon closer examination, the carvings seemed more than decorative. They appeared to be encrypted messages, as if the very walls were communicating through numbers and shapes. the most impressive sight in the room was the star carved with 6 sharp points on the northern wall. The lines of the star were so meticulously cut that it appeared almost lifelike, as if it possessed a compelling force to be gazed upon. This symbol, resembling the Star of David to modern observers, was actually an ancient representation more closely linked to the Seal of Solomon, as whispered in ancient times. Legends had circulated for centuries about this seal, believed to possess the power to command spirits and protect sacred wisdom. Now, it stood etched in stone on the wall, overseeing the chamber like a vigilant guardian. The surprises did not cease. Tucked away in a remote area, partially concealed by dust, were several clay tablets. The initial tablet astounded them with its accuracy. It detailed the measurements of a grand temple, which closely corresponded to the details in the old Book of Kings. This was not just a mere legend. It was tangible proof, inscribed in clay, standing the test of time. A different tablet stood out from the rest, its content filled with peculiar grammar and erratic rhythm. Interpretation of the tablet proved difficult. With phrases seeming like pieces of a puzzle, the text referenced celestial movements and enlightenment. The true intention behind the words remained a mystery, with interpretations ranging from metaphorical to instructional. The atmosphere in the chamber became increasingly tense. Next arrived an item that hushed the most outspoken individuals. Positioned by the southern wall, partially obscured by rubble, stood a trunk no bigger than a piece of luggage. While its iron straps had corroded over time, the golden embellishments still gleamed dimly within the grimy haze. In comparison to the expansive room, it appeared small, yet its existence dominated all else. The team hesitated, with no one making a move or daring to approach. The chest appeared to throb with quiet, as if the atmosphere itself cautioned against disrupting it. Dr. Morgan later noted that entering the chamber felt more like intruding than an act of exploration. It was as if they had stumbled upon a reminiscence that should not have been disrupted. They took pictures of it, documented it, and engaged in lengthy discussions. Was it a container for sacred objects? A storage for papers? Or perhaps something completely different? The box appeared to be patiently waiting, firm and unwavering. Whatever secrets it contained, it clearly was not intended for careless handling. The surroundings they found themselves in provided undeniable evidence. The presence of gold, lavish decorations, exquisite fabrics, fragrant incense, intricate carvings, and ancient tablets all convincingly confirmed the authenticity of Solomon's tomb. However, the most valuable treasure was not material wealth, but an air of mystery. The walls appeared to be filled with mysterious messages. The seal on the stone hinted at long-lost abilities, and the chest sat silently, presenting them with a choice to either unveil its secrets or leave it undisturbed. But curiosity leads to discovery, and it drove the team forward. Stick around. When the walls began to speak, the chest remained still, while the walls held secrets of their own. Along the eastern wall, buried beneath layers of dirt and grime, faint marks reflected the light from the team's torches. Initially, these marks seemed unremarkable, simply the result of age and wear. However, as the team delicately cleaned the surface, the scratches started to connect. Gradually, they transformed into Hebrew characters. The archaeologists inched forward, holding their breath as the message began to form. It wasn't a mere symbol or puzzle, nor a random geometric design. It was a precise and meaningful sentence. The words on the inscription were legible and intentional, showing a deep sense of antiquity. It stated, "Let wisdom direct my actions, just as stars guide navigators." The room became quiet. The atmosphere was peaceful, resembling a prayerful state, and immersed in contemplation. Dr. Morgan and her colleagues couldn't help but sense the presence of Solomon speaking from beyond the passage of time. The renowned king, famous for his wise sayings and melodic verses, had imparted words that felt both intimate and timeless. It seemed as if the very walls were murmuring his words. The inscription's images were promptly documented and sent out. In a matter of hours, they spread worldwide. Evening brought chaos as people reacted to it. For some, it was seen as unparalleled evidence, a tangible connection to Solomon himself, carved into the stone. They viewed it as confirmation that his rule was not just a tale in religious texts, but an actual part of history. Others disagreed and pushed against the idea. Certain academics contended that the text appeared too refined, strategically positioned, and convenient. They suggested that it might have been inserted much later by scribes wanting to elevate Israel's revered king. The controversy raged on. Religious figures quickly joined the discussion. Rabbis highlighted its similarities to wise teachings, drawing connections to Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. Christian theologians viewed it as concrete evidence that Scripture had real historical significance. Scholars of Islam related it to the Quran's depiction of Suleiman, interpreting the words as a prophet's thought that had survived through the ages. The old chamber was no longer just a place of historical significance. It became a source of inspiration that ignited passion in people's hearts, beliefs, and countries. However, despite the ongoing debate outside, the archaeologists continued their exploration inside the tomb. As they removed the initial inscription, other engravings started becoming visible. Various strokes and symbols appeared as the dust was wiped away, revealing a single word engraved boldly on the stone. This name held a deep history filled with intrigue and folklore. Sheba. The woman named Sheba. The sharp and deliberate letters were carved with authority equal to the first line. A moment of silence followed, with a heaviness akin to gold. Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, once only connected through scripture and legend, now shared a bond immortalized in stone within the ancient chamber. The Queen of Sheba existed in the blurred realm where fact and legend intertwined. According to the Bible, she arrived in grand caravans, bearing riches and mysterious puzzles to evaluate Solomon's intelligence. Described in the Quran as Bilqis, she was a ruler who acknowledged Solomon's divine knowledge and accepted its validity. Throughout history, the debate raged on about her existence, leaving many to ponder if she was a historical figure or simply a myth. Yet today, her name is boldly displayed on the tomb walls, solidifying her undeniable presence and unwavering legacy. It wasn't just her name that was significant. The engraving detailed transactions involving ivory, frankincense, and valuable items. It illustrated the giving and receiving of gifts, as well as the establishment of trade routes connecting Africa and Arabia. The archaeologists saw the inscription as more than just a historical account of riches. It provided insight into King Solomon's wisdom, which was not simply innate, but developed through interactions with diverse civilizations and leaders. His achievements were not isolated. They were the result of collaboration, communication, and the integration of different perspectives. Across the world, the finding caused a huge controversy. Religious leaders welcomed it as proof of ancient scriptures that had been doubted in the past. Government officials debated about who should have rights to the location, with each group stating it was part of their culture. Experts grappled with the idea that the sculptures could be real, while doubters still believed they could have been placed there at a later time. However, the team remained undisturbed by the commotion outside the chamber. Their experience was unique. In this quiet sanctuary of rock, where ancient words were etched by those long gone, the undeniable reality became apparent. This wasn't just a legend or a story told around fires. It was evidence. The final secret behind the walls. Beneath the prominently carved name of Sheba on the chamber wall, there remained further mysteries waiting to be revealed. What appeared to be the final discovery was only the beginning. Upon closer inspection of the wall, archaeologists came across a delicate stone divider that appeared to be concealing something more profound. With bated breath, the team watched as the fragile barrier cracked open. Rather than a secret passage or an extended hallway, they stumbled upon a silent and compact alcove that held significant significance. Contained within was only one item: a ring made of gold. The ring did not possess the refined elegance commonly associated with royal jewelry found in museums. Instead, it was bulky, heavy, and stunning in a rugged way. Etched deeply into the metal was a six-pointed star, exuding a sense of age, ruggedness, and strength that seemed to transcend eras. While the treasure held significant monetary value, its symbolic meaning far surpassed any material worth. The once mythical figures of Solomon and Sheba were now brought to life in a tangible way, bridging the gap between legend and reality. This was not just a mere biblical tale or folklore, but a historical artifact making its presence felt in the contemporary world. The ring rested in the niche, almost as if it had been anticipating all these years for someone to pick it up. The experts quickly realized that this was not just any regular piece of jewelry. It displayed a symbol that closely resembled what is now known as the Star of David. However, the carving was ancient, unrefined, and not influenced by contemporary craftsmanship. Examinations validated what had been intuitively felt. The ring dated back to the 10th century BC, the era of Solomon. And suddenly, there was a lingering question, as weighty as the precious metal. Could this be the legendary Seal of Solomon? Ancient tales often mentioned a mystical ring that bestowed upon the intelligent ruler immense power, control over people, spirits, and even wisdom. Certain individuals thought it was his official symbol, imprinted on official documents and agreements. Regardless of whether it was enchanted or a symbol of his reign, the answer was hidden within the golden ring. Possessing it meant touching Solomon's essence, not just his riches. However, the chamber had more secrets to reveal. As the dust cleared, carvings emerged on the walls, depicting various shapes, symbols, and musical instruments such as harps, lyres, and flutes. One particular mark resembled the description of a 10-stringed harp, linked to David, the father of Solomon. In an instant, the chamber transformed from a mere tomb filled with treasures to a sacred space resonating with the presence of music, as if it once housed the essence of melodies and harmonies. A team member who was younger couldn't resist the urge to play the notes on a harp that was a replica. The sound filled the room, delicate and somehow recognizable. People in the room would later say it felt like the past was speaking through the music, a tune that traveled across centuries. At that moment, it seemed like the quiet of history had transformed into a musical melody. Even though the room was full of inscriptions, treasures, and carvings, there was a conspicuous absence that could not be overlooked. Despite all the evidence of Solomon's existence, his body, sarcophagus, and bones were nowhere to be found. Sophisticated scans revealed faint outlines below the solid rock, empty spaces, almost symmetrical, suggesting the existence of additional rooms beyond. It is possible that the monarch was concealed in those deeper areas. It is possible that the constructors had enclosed him, intending never to be disturbed. However, these inquiries remained unanswered for now. To excavate deeper would necessitate additional time, permissions, and harmony among nations already in conflict over ownership of the finding. For the time being, the identity of the man remained a secret. An ordinary hillside that had been marked by a storm turned into a remarkable find in the timeline of humanity. Various valuable items such as golden vessels, Hebrew inscriptions, engraved names, hidden treasures, and even the potential seal of Solomon were uncovered from a sealed chamber that had remained untouched for thousands of years. However, the most pressing question remained unanswered in the atmosphere. Can you tell me the location of the king? The burial place uncovered pieces of his existence. The walls bore the mark of knowledge, like an eternal plea. Connections were ingrained in the form of names and signs, uniting countries beyond sandy dunes and vast waters. Melodies were conserved in quietness, melodies and tones tucked away like soft murmurs within rock. The ring, nestled in its concealed corner, held the burden of Solomon's tale. Yet in the absence of his physical form, in the absence of the individual himself, the mystery persists, like an echo on the verge of illumination. Was Solomon concealed in an even deeper secret room, awaiting to be unearthed by future generations? Was his burial place purposely left incomplete, ensuring that he would never be found? Could the lack of his physical remains symbolize that his wisdom, his relationships, his riches were what he truly left behind, as his body was meant to remain a mystery? Currently, the solution is hidden within impenetrable barriers, in rooms that are beyond the depths explored by the human gaze. The relics indicate that Solomon's rule was not just a legend. They speak of intelligence, affection, authority, melody, and connections reaching great distances. They demonstrate his presence on earth and the lasting impact he made. But why does Solomon's name still stay alive in our time? Let's dive into it. The Golden King of Wisdom. Solomon, the son of the great King David, carried a heavy task after his father's death. David, the hero who defeated Goliath and united the tribes of Israel, left behind a strong nation and high expectations. Many doubted that a boy of only 12 years could lead. Yet Solomon rose to the throne with courage, not relying on age or power, but on wisdom and inner strength. What made Solomon extraordinary was his heart. When he became king, he did not ask God for wealth or a long life. Instead, he prayed for wisdom to rule with fairness and justice. God was pleased with this selfless request and gave him unmatched wisdom, along with honor and riches greater than any king of his time. Solomon's fame grew quickly. His judgments amazed all who heard them. One story tells of two women who both claimed to be the mother of a child. Solomon suggested dividing the baby in two. In fear, one woman begged that the child be spared, even if it meant giving him up. Her love revealed the truth, and Solomon's wisdom shone before everyone. Under his rule, Israel thrived. Roads connected towns, palaces stood tall, and fortresses guarded the land. But his greatest work was the first temple in Jerusalem. Built over 7 years, it glittered with gold, cedar from Lebanon, and jewels that sparkled like stars. People traveled from faraway lands to marvel at its glory. Yet Solomon was more than a builder. He was a thinker and a poet. His words, found in Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Solomon, still guide hearts today. He wrote about love, work, and the meaning of life, leaving wisdom that never fades. Trade flourished during his reign. Ships returned with gold, silver, spices, ivory, and rare animals. Alliances with Egypt, Phoenicia, and other nations strengthened the kingdom, and then came the famous visit of the Queen of Sheba. She arrived with gifts and questions to test his wisdom, but every answer revealed a greatness far beyond rumor. But even wise kings face shadows. Solomon married many foreign wives, allowing new customs into Israel. Heavy taxes also troubled the people. When he passed away at 55 after 40 years of rule, the kingdom divided. 10 tribes broke away, leaving Judah in the south. Still, Solomon's legacy endured. His name became a symbol of wisdom, wealth, and mystery. Legend spoke of a magical ring and powers beyond human reach. Whether myth or truth, Solomon's story continues to shine, brighter than gold, as the tale of a king whose wisdom outlived his crown. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.